In the name of God, the most beneficent and most merciful. President Berishti, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring greetings to you from the Islamic Center of Little Rock and the Muslims of Central Arkansas that it represents. I pray for the mercy and blessings of the Almighty for all of us gathered here today. Peace be upon you, or as we say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm delighted to be here in this beautiful church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a beautiful morning. The sun is shining. I can feel the warmth, the light, and the energy. I hope you do too. When the Islamic Center was approached to join in this multi-faith community devotional to learn, understand, ponder, pray, and defend our religious freedom, I couldn't help but visualize a conversation with my late mother, telling her about it and hearing her respond that the sage who helped conceive and organize such a bonding event between God's creation is a Behishti. Now, she did not know Dr. Michael Behishti, but in her mother tongue, as in Persian, Behishti denotes one whose eternal abode is heaven. So congratulations, Michael, for being a Behishti, and thank you for arranging this wonderful experience. We're all gathered here today because religious freedom is important to us. We want to be able to pray, dress, eat, drink, work in accordance with our faith traditions. We wish to celebrate our births and marriages, and we wish to honor our dead in the ways we deem proper. We wish to live our life as we believe our Creator ordained for us, and we argue that it is our right to do so. It wouldn't be an issue if the human race were monolithic in its beliefs and monochromatic in its worldview, but that is not the case, and so this discussion, and so this gathering. A discussion that has been a part of human life for ages, and as Bishop Taylor mentioned, it's always intense, mostly emotional, rarely rational, and embarrassingly drenched in blood from all sides. So what has changed? What has brought all of us together here today with diverse religious views? Maybe we have finally learned the lesson of history. Maybe we have matured to accept the will of the Creator, accepting that there may be a different path or different paths to the same goal, that tolerance trumps prejudice, that respect bests insult, and that acceptance transcends rejection of fellow human beings. In this assembly today, when we ponder and pray for our religious freedom, which is our right, I hope we are praying for the same autonomy for the entire humanity. When we ask of others to learn and understand and respect our sacred obligations, I wish we pledged the same deference to theirs as well. Standing here in front of you, I have no hesitation in telling you that I cannot defend my religious freedom until I defend yours. For us as Muslims, it is that simple. Here in this great country, we are lucky to have the ability to shape our lives in accordance with our deeply held beliefs. Even though we have fallen short, but as Americans, we constantly try to form that perfect union to realize the vision of our founding fathers. As Dr. Behishti mentioned, the founding fathers were unequivocal about religious freedom. James Madison perceived the nation in 1785, and I quote him, he said, "An asylum to the persecuted and oppressed of every nation and religion." Among Madison's 15 points was his declaration that the religion then of every man must be left to the conviction and conscience of every man, to exercise it as these may dictate. This right in its nature is an inalienable right. In 1786, the Virginia Act of establishing religious freedom, modified somewhat from the Jefferson's original draft, became the law. The act is one of the 3 accomplishments Jefferson put on his tombstone, along with writing the Declaration and founding the University of Virginia. By the way, he omitted being the President of the United States. After the bill was passed, Jefferson proudly wrote that the law meant to comprehend, within the mantle of its protection, the Jew, the Gentile, the Christian, and the Mohammedan. He didn't know who Muslims were, but knew there were some. The Mohammedan, the Hindu, and the infidel of every denomination. As President George Washington wrote in 1790, all possess alike liberty of conscience and immunity of citizenship. For happily the government of the United States, which gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance, requires only that they who live under its protection should demean themselves as good citizens. He was addressing the members of America's oldest synagogue, the Torah synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island. He further wrote, "May the children of the stock of Abraham, who dwell in this land, continue to merit and enjoy the will of other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid." So that's where our founding fathers stood on the issue of religious freedom for all of us. And so now the question, where does Islam stand on all this? What are the Islamic principles that govern Muslim behavior on this issue? How does Islam look at people following different paths, and what is its position on their right to their path? For that I will go straight to our holy book, the Quran, and quote some passages from it. As Muslims, we believe Quran is the word of God, the Almighty Allah. It gives us our way of life. While the interpretations may vary, all Muslims who ascribe to Islam as their faith firmly believe in Quran as the ultimate guidance. And so I start with chapter 49, verse 13, where God says, "O humankind, behold, we have created you all out of a male and a female, and have made you into nations and tribes, so that you might come to know one another, not to despise one another. And verily the noblest of you in the sight of God is one who is most deeply conscious of him. Behold, God is all-knowing, all-aware." Please note that the Almighty is addressing the entire human race, not just the Muslims, and emphasizes that nobility comes from being mindful of the Lord and submitting to his will. In chapter 2, verse 136, God says, "Say, we believe in God and in that which has been bestowed from on high upon us, and that which has been bestowed upon Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac and Jacob and their descendants, and that which has been vouchsafed to Moses and Jesus, and that which has been vouchsafed to all other prophets by their sustainer. We make no distinction between any of them. And it is unto him that we surrender ourselves." This universal message of submission across times is repeated in chapter 3, verse 84. In chapter 2, verse 62, God says, "Verily, those who have attained to faith in this divine right, as well as those who follow the Jewish faith and the Christians and the Sabians, all who believe in God and the last day, all who believe in God and the last day and do righteous deeds shall have their reward with their Lord and Sustainer. And no fear need they have, and neither shall they grieve." This message of inclusiveness is repeated in chapter 5, verse 69. And now coming to the divine decree of freedom of faith, as espoused by the Almighty in Quran, chapter 2, verse 256. "La ikraha fi din kad tabayyana rushd." There is no compulsion in religion, no coercion in matters of faith. And the reverse is true. So it's a statement which is comprehensive for all of us who follow Islam. In chapter 11, verse 118, and had thy sustainer so willed, he could surely have made all mankind into one single community, but he willed it otherwise, so they continue to hold divergent views. This is from Quran, this is a translation. And it says in chapter 5, verse 48, and if God had so willed, He could surely have made you all one single community, but He willed it otherwise in order to test you by means of what He has vouchsafed with you, onto you. And then He says in the same verse why He made us different. Why then with one another in doing good? Why then with one another in doing good? Unto God you all must return, and He then will make you understand truly that which you are born to differ. So this is, my friends, in essence, the Islamic message. I've just shared some translation of verses with you that should help us understand, I hope, the inclusiveness of the Quranic message, the reverence of varied paths that the Almighty created over times, the respect, mercy, and love that God clothes His entire creation with, and finally the divine proclamation about freedom of religion, the very topic of today's discussion. Thank you, and may God be with you. Thank you very much.